Hi, book club members. I'm Jen.
And I'm Carrie.
And this is Warhammer 40k Book Club, where we read from a crag. This is episode number 131, and our book is Daemonbreaker by Jude Reid. It tells the story of Aveline, pre-Cadia's destruction, on the hunt for a saint's relic. We posted several questions on our website, WH40kbookclub.com, and we encourage participation in our conversations via YouTube, our site, or Encrypted Vox channel. Spoiler warning. If you haven't yet read this book, definitely check it out before listening to this episode, as we'll be discussing the book from start to finish in great detail. With that, let's dive in. As always, Carrie, did you like the book?
Yes, and then no.
I think that's accurate. I think we probably... The ending, right?
Oh, yeah. Ending killed it for me.
It really did, and we're gonna dive so much into that one. There's a lot to talk about with the ending of this one. For now, let's talk about what parts stood out to you.
I mean, I wrote down some quotes, but they were quotes of where Aveline was being kind of a selfish bitch. Very much a glory hog. Which is so much so weird for the sisters.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's... Okay. Let's dive into Aveline, shall we? What you thought of her? Because here's the thing. I feel like I cannot be pleased. And I want to acknowledge that in advance. I'm a little high maintenance. We're constantly frustrated by the sisters who aren't worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Oh, I batted my eyes wrong. I missed a word in my prayer. Time to become a repentia. We always read so many of these people. And then we have this woman who is not any of that. And I don't like it.
Okay. All right. Except that what we have here are two extremes, though. I think it's what we decided. We don't like the extremes. We really like the Order of the Bloody Rose. Because they're not with those extremes. You have the extremes of, I'm not worthy. Versus Aveline, who is all I deserve glory. And I must be remembered.
And it's not even
we gotta have a happy medium between the two.
And we did.
With
Gwyneth.
We had with Gwyneth, and I actually liked Zara.
I liked Zara too. Zara seemed very pragmatic.
Oh, and the Hospitaller.
Oh my God, the Hospitaller was excellent. I liked her a lot. They were all very pragmatic, very much what I'm looking for in a Sororitas, especially Gwyneth. I mean, Gwyneth in particular showed what we're looking for in those characters. For me, one of the parts that stood out to me with Aveline was, I think it's not once, but twice, they mention a woman or a sister going by or a sister dying. And Aveline's I never even really bothered to learn their names.
Yes.
Madam.
Yes.
Madam.
Or she had trouble remembering people's names. Even Gwyneth. She was wait, what was her name again?
She's irritated by her.
She just kind of puts on the air that she's so much better than everybody else.
And this desire to not even... So, with the other sisters, which we're going to now have our left and our right here, right? The other ones who aren't worthy just want to throw themselves into death to martyr themselves for the Emperor. Aveline was very eager to martyr herself for fame and glory. Not necessarily, if she dies, obviously she wants to die for the Emperor. Obviously, let's not make it weird. But that was kind of I felt like that was the after effect. That was I'll be famous and everyone will remember me for the Emperor.
Right.
I didn't love that.
Well, it's the one I really picked on page 65 of our limited edition. When she's talking to Vasiliki about this, and she's the God Emperor sees your duty and sacrifice. And her thoughts are, but what use was that if no one else did? Honey, welcome to being a cog in the machine.
Pretty much.
How many sisters died?
Did you miss it?
How many sisters died without ever being remembered? And they don't care.
And I did like when Gwyneth said that, right? When she's just like, we're going to die and no one's going to even know. And Gwyneth's like, I'll know. Oh.
Also, we're looking at Gwyneth, who has this blood disease, who knows she's going to die, but she wants to die, as she said, not like her mother, crying and afraid in the dark, but at least fighting for the Emperor.
Well, and when she got selfish, when she thought back to her grandmother, right? She remembered how hard her grandmother fought to get her to the sisters and to beg the sisters. She lies to the sisters to get them to take her.
Oh, right? That was Aveline.
And then, yes, sorry, thinking, yeah, Gwyneth and Aveline. Sorry, I jumped into thought there, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm. Anyways, sorry. Words are hard today, right? So we're presented with all these women in this book, right? Because Aveline keeps thinking about that, her grandmother, but of course she doesn't think about that until after the rift opens up, right? When all of a sudden she's like, oh, right, I kind of forgot about that. When she starts thinking about her mentor and everything, right? And that doesn't even affect her. And then you have Gwyneth, who doesn't even have that powerful of a backstory, who's like, yeah, I just, I don't want to die in the dark like my mom did. And I'm really down for the Emperor. Like, I just want to die for him. I just want to be the best that I can be and to be this badass sister, part of this sisterhood. Meanwhile, Aveline is like, oh man, look at all these really cool people in my life. Anyways, my personal legacy. Girl. No.
She's like all pouty when she can get to go to Cadia, but the glory's there.
Here's the thing about that. And this is why. So one of the questions I posit to us. Are we supposed to like Aveline? And for a hot
minute, if we are,
there,
I'm sorry, Dr. Reid, you did a really bad job.
I actually thought for a second that we weren't supposed to, because I was like, oh, I don't like this character. I don't like this character. And then she gets denied going to Cadia. And her commanding officer tells her, yeah, this isn't about you. And you're a little too much of a glory hound. So you're going to go to this like stupid little job. We're sending you on a fetch quest, basically, because that's about what you're good for. Glorified FedEx. And I was like, oh, we're not supposed to like her. Okay, cool. So this is going to be like a humiliation, sort of like a figure your shit out.
Well, at the same time, it was a very important duty, though.
Well, yes,
they had to find this sorcerer that was there destroying all these shrines.
Yes, but I didn't get the impression that they realized just how important it was going to be. And it was distinctly, no, you're going to go do this. You are not going to the front because that's what you want. We're sending you to the rear. You're going on a fetch quest. So I was like, oh, we're not supposed to like her. Okay. They are acknowledging that she is not what a sister should be. So I'm like, okay, she's going to eat a little humble pie. She gets down on the planet, and what does she think? All right, we got to mop this up quickly so I can get to Cadia. Did you learn nothing? You like, okay, so everything that your commanding officer said to you.
Again, she's better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So
that's what it boils down to.
So with a lesson in humility that the canoness was obviously trying to instill on her, it can't happen if you don't have any humility. If you already think you're above everybody.
That's true.
And
that
she's so irritated with Zara because Zara didn't. She's like, you didn't do what we promised as kids. Well, how many of us have done what we've promised to do as kids? I was supposed to be a vet.
Right? Like how many people and how many BFFs did you have who you guys are going to be BFFs forever? And just, life kind of takes you apart. And that whole piece felt very petulant.
You know what? I should be mad. I should be mad at my BFF in high school because we didn't stay in touch and the bitch went off to become an Olympic gold medalist in diving. So, but we didn't stay in touch. We didn't do what we're supposed to do and be best friends forever. I should be mad and petty. She went and did something better for her, and I'm just pissed.
And it felt a little judgmental because she didn't think that was Zara's right path. Like, obviously, she knew what was best for Zara. And so, I mean, Zara is apologetic later because female friendships are complicated, right? I actually did like that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that through Aveline and Zara, we really do see that friendships in general are complicated. But speaking as a woman, friendships are complicated, right? And I can't even imagine if you're in the 40k universe, like as warrior nuns, right? A lot going on there, I think. I didn't like that whole interaction, and I didn't love that Zara was like, yeah, you're right, I really should have stayed with you. I understand where you're coming from, and it's justified, and it fits your character entirely, but could you please not encourage her?
Right.
I don't know how to say that without sounding mean.
So unfortunately, I did read the afterword in my book. I got through about half of it, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Reid. Like, I'm not with you anymore on this. Because basically what she was trying to say, like in separating them, was that, with Lyrian's death, Aveline went charging forward to power through it, and Zara ran away from the problem. Mm-hmm. I'm like, but I disagree with that, because how everybody handles something is totally different. And maybe she would have gotten there anyway, if whether Lyrian died or not. She might have been, very good as the right-hand woman for the canoness. There is nothing wrong with that if that's your path. And I kind of got irritated with Aveline being like, that's not what you were supposed to do. Well, I'm sorry, you don't know what's going on in my head right now. It's honestly, it makes me think of the stay-at-home moms versus the working moms thing, right? Where the stay-at-home moms are like, well, you obviously don't love your kids. And the working moms, I'm doing extremes here, okay, people, before you attack me. And the working moms are like, well, there's more to me than raising kids. It's like, there's a happy medium in here somewhere. But you have no right to tell another mom what to do. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Let her be a fucking stay-at-home mom. What do you care? How does this impact your life? And vice versa. So, but it's like, I'm not sure how this impacts Aveline's life, except that she doesn't have her best friend around. But they're still in the same order. It's not like she quit and ran away and this is too hard and cried. She just chose a different profession. And how many of us have found friends that we were supposed to do this one thing together, and we either ended up getting into different colleges or finding different jobs?
No, it's true. It felt a little. Now, I guess you could argue that in her arrogance, she was, the way that her hurt and missing of her best friend was manifesting itself was, wow, you chose the wrong field here.
Because again, she knows better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know. And also, it made it feel less than. And I did like when the Hospitaller is talking with Gwyneth, and she's like, would it have been so terrible to be one of us? And Gwyneth's like, well, I guess I never thought of it that way. Like, I always just wanted to fight for the Emperor, not be a Hospitaller. But this book shows how integral all of the pieces. That's one of the things that I absolutely love about the 40k universe. Well, Adeptus Ministorum. The verdict is out on the Ministorum, okay? But by and large...
Or the Administratum in general, I mean...
Yeah, pretty much. Every cog in the machine has a purpose, right? Especially with, like, the Space Marines and with the Adeptus Sororitas and the Astra Militarum. Every cog has a purpose. If you know anything about watchmaking, if you take away one cog, the whole thing goes away, right? Mm-hmm. Like... It makes sense. So even though, like, she was less than because she was serving as the canoness's right hand, she still was serving a vital function within the sisters. And I was very happy that they mended that. But I think, we'll talk more about this later with Aveline, but I wanted her to grow as a character and learn a lesson, learn something and change and grow. And I felt like that was just like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, you're totally right here. Like,
see, that's probably my biggest problem with this whole book, is that I felt like Aveline just got her way the entire time.
let's go ahead and jump to that bottom question then, because I think...
Well, I was so irritated when she sees the sword of Saint Arabella, and all she thinks about is wielding it herself. Not that we need to protect this because this is an amazing relic, but oh my gosh, this was made for me. I should be getting it. And then once again, because you unlocked it, well, that's exactly what he wanted you to do.
After you screwed up big time.
Right.
And that... God, I don't want to like really necessarily harp on Aveline, but so one of my last questions was, did she learn the true meaning of Christmas?
No, she did not. She got her way.
She did not. She got her way. She gets... So she's a glory
and she gets
hound.
To become like a saint or whatever? Like, no. No.
She's arrogant, and they even acknowledge that her arrogance is wrong. And she's in it for herself. She's very selfish. She's very self-serving. And then in the end, they're like, yes, queen, slay, literally. Like, she become this saint. And the other thing I didn't love is that the Chaos Sorcerer, it is very obvious something is not right with him. So she slays him and is like, oopsie poopsie. Things go less than well. And then, even then, still worked out in the end for her. So, yeah. I mean, did what she did, was what she did bad? Yes, probably it was very bad. However, she cleaned up the mess and then she got to become a saint for it. I don't feel as though she really...
I don't think she learned a lesson at all.
I don't think she did either. I think if anything, she was like, hell yeah, I'm meant for glory. Now, who knows? Maybe being turned into a giant battery for the Emperor is going to like change her entire worldview there, right? I'm willing to accept that, but I didn't really see it.
I would have been happier if it was Gwyneth.
Okay, this is the whole thing. The whole thing, you guys. So I was so invested in Gwyneth's story. As much as I did not like Aveline, I loved Gwyneth. Everything about her. I love that as soon as they're under attack, she's like, well, I'm supposed to be keeping my vigil, but they need my help. I'm going to go and do something. She gets in trouble for it. Okay. Yep, I deserve to be in trouble. I'm going to make amends. Right? Like the whole time she's just like, I'm going to grow and I'm going to be what I need to be. And again, she has that wonderful line to Aveline when she says, I will know, we will know that I wasn't a full-fledged sister. Like she embodies the spirit of Christmas. So I was really hoping that like she would ascend to sainthood or something. And even if she died, I'd be like, hell yeah. That's exactly what that girl deserved because she was a bad... And no, that is not at all what happened. Justice for Gwyneth.
What I honestly thought was going to happen, like I thought that Aveline was going to learn the true meaning of Christmas when she did fix it and she did kill the demon and everything exploded and that was it for her, right? And then they come back and they find Gwyneth and Stasis and then like they get the story. That's honestly where I thought this was going to go.
That would have been awesome too.
But the fact that they made her kind of like a saint at the end, and then of course the freaking ecclesiarchy's like, you're now Daemonbreaker. You had me until the end. I ain't gonna lie, but there it is.
I will be honest that if she had died, it would have felt a lot better because yes, she would have been rewarded and wouldn't have necessarily have grown or learned as a character, but she would have made the ultimate sacrifice. This goes back to that second Dawn of Fire book. Not everyone has to survive.
Oh, yes.
It's okay to kill some people. It's okay. It's the 40k universe. Some people gotta die sometimes. Don't get attached to anyone.
Generally, a lot of them, and often.
Unless it's Kato Sicarius, because then he's gonna be fine.
Right.
If your character is named, it shall be fined. Yeah, I was a little... The fact that she... Like, I'm exactly with you. When they got to the epilogue, I was like, oh, they're going to find Gwyneth, and she's going to... Oh, no, never mind. Never mind. That's Aveline. I just didn't think she deserved that.
Nope.
Again, justice for Gwyneth. Did you like the sisters in general, though, in this book? Because I think that actually, I'm answering my own question here partially to like kickstart this. But I think one of the things that made Aveline so dislikable was that she was surrounded by so many very likable characters.
Yes. Yes. She was. Everybody else I liked in the order. I see her as like one bad apple.
Pretty much is like this arrogant. And it's not that like, oh, we don't like women who take charge and who are confident. And no,
again,
that's
I point
not
you
bad.
to the Order of the Bloody Rose, those books.
Yes. Those ladies are the example of we take charge. And Gwyneth was the example of I see what needs to be done and I'm just going to go do it. And it didn't work out for her in the end. I really liked.
This just hit me. It's like when the hospital or Celise, when they're like, you have to come and get Aveline. And she's like, I got other people here. And like, no, you have to come and help her because she's dying. She's like, oh, she's like, maybe better if she was dead. Yes, hun. Maybe it would be.
Agreed. I did like when they called out Aveline on her bullshit. Like, yeah, you're just doing this for glory. A bunch of people are going to get killed. No, they're not. And then guess what happened? A bunch of people got killed. Although I did like the sisters' reaction when there was so many descriptive things in this book.
Oh man, when they described like how everything changed, like with the sky and what they're experiencing, and it just dawned on me. It's like, oh man, this is when like all those rifts opened up and the demons were pouring in on Terra. I was like, this was one of those rifts. That's actually really kind of cool to use this as a staging point for how those demon rifts got there. Using these shrines in these worlds like around Cadia. That was really, really neat.
Well, it dawned on me.
And then Aveline lived.
Right. Yeah. It did dawn on me, though, as I was reading this book from a meta stance. I was like, oh, yeah. So the fall of Cadia is going to be one of those things. Like, that moment in time. There is so much you can do on there with so many worlds. Like, we can have at least a good several dozen books. Because that's really what this is just telling the story of a nearby planet, mm-hmm. What it was like when the rift opens up, when Cadia gets destroyed, and the fact that they're all like, oh my God. And this was the first and only time when some of the ladies start ripping themselves up into Repentia. I was like, fair. You just watch one of the oldest shrine, like worlds, the Cadian gate get destroyed. You have my permission to do whatever you need to do to process that. Go Repentia. I disagree, but you do that. Like, again, you do you, girl. Whatever it takes. Totally was on board with those Repentia. Like, I mean, again, you're being a little ridiculous, but I wasn't there and I didn't look up at the sky and realize that there was a planet missing.
And my eyes weren't bleeding. So there was that.
There was that. It does just sound terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And I did like all of the descriptions of like how they felt and all of the demons showing up and how the demons are basically like, ooh, this is amazing. Why not?
Did someone call a party? Because we're here.
The beacons are lit. Or in this case, unlit. Really liked all of that. And actually, one of the things I was going to say in a part that stood out to me, and I don't know if this is because she is a doctor, but this is one of those things, you see videos online sometimes, or somebody will just like memes, or someone will mention such an oddly specific feeling that you're like, I know exactly what you're talking about there. And I just cringed. It's towards the end there when she's fighting, I think it's the Bloodletter, and he slices her with the rapier that they say is so sharp. At first it felt like a caress. Before she recognized it was a cut. What an oddly specific description for a woman who wields a scalpel. Mm-hmm. That I was like, I know exactly what that sensation is. And then I cringed because usually you get it with paper cuts.
Right.
Where you're like, oh.
Or
oh no!
if you cut yourself with a very sharp knife, you don't even realize that you've cut yourself. And so you
all of a sudden you're like, why is there, oh god damn it.
There's a lot of blood. Where is it coming from? Crap.
Yep. I did that and I didn't have feeling in my fingertip for like 3 years. It was really fun. Wasn't that long, obviously, but it was a really considerably long time. Great description. Amazing description of it. That was the part that stood out to me. There were actually several of them. Mostly, and that's going to probably be in my quotes of the year, was Gwyneth's piece. I really liked the sisters in here. I thought the Canoness had a good head on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. She recognized, not maybe a problem, but she did recognize an area of improvement for, it's a problem for Aveline. Like, you're way too concerned with yourself, your ego, and your reputation. And it shows. Oh, that was good. This book actually, I think, really went into that division between the Hospitallers and the sisters, which I really liked. Like that concept of, well, we're the warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitallers are important.
Medics are important. They're very important.
Slightly. I liked them. I thought they did a good job with it. It's hard to talk about the villains of the story because, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. We had a couple sorcerers.
It wasn't really a villain. It was more just like impending doom.
It was like a sense of, hell opening up.
Yes.
Literal hell opening up. I mean, the corn demons always sound terrifying. Just death. Murder. I guess not even death, murder.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, it was, I guess my, I don't know how to say this nicely, but what was the point of this book?
Well, I'm going to assume that the Ecclesiarchy is going to be using Daemonbreaker for something. If they don't take away the Sword of Arabella from her, because last I checked, that's a pretty big relic that the Order of the Sacred Rose might want back. Just a thought.
Mayhaps. Does she become like their Robbie Bobby figure of like, dude, we've got our saint back? Oh, well, that's kind of an interesting concept, huh? What would, because usually the saints, other than Celestine, usually the saints kind of burn out. Right? They get supercharged with the energy of the emperor, and then they're gone, and we still worship our saint, right? What would an order do with a saint? Like an actual, and yeah, they kind of imply that the power has left her, but this woman has experienced sainthood and is now walking amongst you. What does that do for your order? What does the Inquisition think of this?
I would love for the Inquisition to get involved.
No, that's just mean. That's just mean.
I really did not like this character. And it's just because I am very mad she gets her way. She did not learn a single lesson. She got to be an arrogant bitch the entire book and gets what she wants. Glory.
Yeah. So, and granted, this is probably one of the best examples of this I've seen lately. Because if you think about the Celestine book, now Celestine is unique and different, and I hate to compare people to Celestine. Hate to compare that to her. However, very selfless, very, very demure, very mindful. Sorry, that is like the first time I've used that stupid reference. But very selfless, very much like this is my duty and this is what I'm going to do. She's a unique mind there, right? Sabbat, because that's another saint that we get to see actually awaken, right? The girl who was going to be here, her was a little maybe border arrogant until she actually ascends to sainthood, and then like but she had this tremendous sense of duty, right? There's a Warhammer Plus animation that is excellent with the sisters, where one of the sisters finally realizes what it means to become a saint. And she's like, oh, it's not me. It's sacrifice and duty and a sense of both. Didn't get the impression that Aveline had either of those.
No. What was that book that we read? It was with the sisters where they were doing like the ritual to become a saint. And that one woman did briefly. So it was like the saint, like almost like inhabits you for like a little bit. So I'm guessing that's kind of what happened here with Aveline, is that Arabella might have inhabited her. That's how she healed. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but the way I interpreted it, it was she did this and the emperor rewarded her by healing her so she could continue to fight another day. I was like, but again, I don't think she's deserving of a reward.
I agree with that entirely.
Her reward was actually sacrificing herself for the greater good. I can't believe I'm using that term, but that's really what it is.
And I think it would have been the right lesson. It would have been the right lesson's not the right word because it sounds punitive. It would have been the right thing for her to have finally committed the ultimate sacrifice for the emperor, to gone out in the most badass of ways.
And no one knows.
Only you and a couple of people know. Right? Because that's one of the things with the 40k universe as well, is we've read so many books with like these people who go out like just absolute badasses. And no one was there to remember the tale. Or maybe one guy was, or one person was, and they, I don't know how far and wide it's going to go. That would have been the very fitting end for her. Was, yes, you have done everything right, and nobody's going to remember it. Am I being petulant about this character?
I almost think that what your prediction was, that thank God did not come true, might have been better.
So for people wondering, I got to the point, it was when Gwyneth demands to be made into a sister. Like, you must allow me to do this. I texted Carrie and was like, oh man, Gwyneth's going to have to die to teach Aveline the true meaning of Christmas. Because that kind of seemed like that's what it was. Like, basically she was going to witness that and be like, oh, I need to fix my thinking. I need to fix myself. And
honestly, I think that would have been a better ending than what we got. And I hate to say that because it's very trite, but man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm keeping this whole thing, but mainly because like with my own kids or even with my dogs, like when you're throwing a fit, you don't get your way.
No. And I feel like we all know that person. Come on. If you've worked a job, you've worked with that person who did not deserve that promotion, but by God, they got it. And you're just like, awesome, cool. I'm glad that you just rewarded all the bad behavior. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And maybe that's the message here, is that, you know
that
what?
we all need to be arrogant assholes and bitches.
Or
and then we get rewarded.
Or maybe it was just an acknowledgement that, look, not all of these ladies are... I was going to say they're not all saints. Hey. Except some of them are. They're not all these angelic, I'm here for the emperor people, right? They're people. And so you get some like this who are... And if you want to look at Zara as having run away, maybe you do get the people who are like, whew, I don't know if the battle thing is for me, right? You get these people who are arrogant. You get the people who are good and minded, and Gwyneth forever. Like, I want a whole separate story about Gwyneth. Love her. You also get people who are the obnoxious, I'm not worthy. I don't know. Maybe that's.
I do understand what you're saying, and yes, that people are complicated, and it is good to have like this mix, this variety of people, and that's fine. It just doesn't mean that I have to like any. I don't have to like them, right? It's the same thing like with people in real life. So all types of people doesn't mean I have to like all of them.
That's true. That is true. Was it the Triumph of St. Catherine?
No.
Was it Pilgrims of Fire?
That's it.
Pilgrims of Fire is the one. Okay, those two books are the same book in my head. So here's a thing. As I was putting questions in on here, the end of the description says that should Aveline be unsuccessful in defeating this new threat, Holy Terra itself will pay for her failure in blood.
Yeah, it does anyway. So, meh. Now that we know what that threat was.
I mean, there were demons on Terra. They messed up the place a little bit.
Yep, they did.
I don't know. I didn't feel like the threat level there. That part felt a little forced. But maybe it was because by that point I was just a little flustered with Aveline.
Could be.
Yeah. I don't know. This was not... you know what? No, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah. Again, I liked it till the end.
Till the end.
This was an Escaflowne moment for me. If anybody's heard me tell that story about the Escaflowne anime, it's great to the last 2 minutes. And then the whole thing sucks. And that's kind of how this feels.
Agreed. The good news was it was short. It did not overstay its welcome. I will say that I am more forgiving of it because it was so short.
And I will also say that the Order of the Sacred Rose emblem also be a cool tattoo. Just saying.
This,
well, the whole thing would be.
In general, I would love to have like on my calf or something. It is that whole... Yeah, this by the way, just as a quick shout out, this might be the rose. Yes. This might be one of the prettiest limited editions that we've gotten in a while.
It feels better than any other limited edition.
I don't know if you guys can see, like this is raised here. It feels like it's like wrapped in leather. It's really it's really nice. And the smoky leather, like the smoky page thing is just...
Oh yeah. There's the rose. I would love that.
I do like it.
Even like just as like, just like an outline, because then it'd be white. Anyway, because I
do like it.
Because I need more tattoos. Like I need another hole in my head, as my dad would say.
Same. Same. But I'm always on the lookout for new ones. No, it didn't overstay its welcome. I will give it that. It was a little frustrating. It was frustrating, very frustrating. Did not like the main character, but I think if this would have been as thick as like the Morven Val book, I might have been a little angry and more frustrated with it. But the fact that this was...
Which is still sitting in a Games Workshop box unopened.
My God, woman. It's coming up on our list, so
I will eventually open it. I just haven't had this pressing need to do it now.
But before we started this podcast, Carrie and I were mentioning that we were kind of mixed on this book. Please see the Ahriman episode for our feelings on Ahriman. And then the book before that was...
Lilith.
Yes, Lilith Hesperax. And neither of us are big Lilith Hesperax fans. Chains of Golgotha was okay. We really haven't read a book that blew our skirts up since Siege of Rax by Steve Lyons, which, funny story, our next book is going to be Dead Men Walking by Steve Lyons. Hey, Jen and Carrie, are you guys aware that that's the first book in that Krieg trilogy? Shut up. Lots of people read books out of order. Don't make it weird. To celebrate the republishing of it, and because we're both like really into the
so we haven't liked a book since, or really liked a book since July. Since July.
Yes.
So as I'm going through, I was like, how far back was that? Yep, there it is.
Yeah. And then before that one, it's been
probably
kind of a rough
Void
year.
Stalker before that one, because Fire Drake was okay. Purging of
Catalyst.
It's okay. Well, I'm looking at my rating, and apparently I thought it was just okay. Let's see. Void Stalker, that was good. Death Worlder, that was good. Let's see. Lord of Excess, Lord of the Night was good. Ooh, the Lazarus book was good.
Yes, that one was very good.
Oh, did Big Daka? That was excellent.
Yep.
I guess Soul Hunter and Blood Reaver. Oh, Sea of Souls. We loved that book.
Do you see my face right now?
They don't, but I do.
Well, good. I'm glad. The good news is, and I feel like I do actually have to mention this. I try not to, but because I know that I complain a lot. The good news is that we're going to be reading the Dead Men Walking because they just re-released it in this beautiful limited edition, which, by the way, when all 3 books are in the limited edition together, this is very nice.
Yeah, I posted a picture on our Instagram if you want to see how nice they look together.
They look really nice. So those are in black and white, and then this guy's like, I'm really digging the black and white here. But I have done pretty much nothing but complain about the lack of new books. And apparently when it rains, it pours.
It does pour.
In June season. So we have, the good news is, because I know everybody was worried. Everybody was like, oh no, are they going to be able to finish the year with a Dawn of Fire book? We got you, fam. And then finish the year, hopefully on a Red Gobbo book. I'm assuming that that's in there, but we've got all kinds of new books coming up. And there's like a few new ones that they teased. They just teased that new one with a Black Templar, which looks really amazing. That Dominion one we just ordered. I think there's going to be Leagues of Otan. They're finally going to release that book for the Leagues of Otan. So we can finally read about them because we have yet to read about them. We still have Demon Hammer, Oaths of Damnation. Things suddenly got a little busy.
And we will actually be putting up some more polls for what we should read next between like Demon Hammer and Morvenval, for example.
Yes, and that is another really good call out, Carrie. As we are faced with all of these new books, we were typically doing this for like the Wayback Machine, but since we now have just a plethora of new books, please fill out our survey. Tell us what you think we should read next. We're always love to hear what people think. Helps us since we often have indecision.
Although I'm never going to put the Dawn of Fire one up for a poll because I know that will never win. So
look, guys, we gotta read. Actually, you know what?
We're gonna have to hold our noses and just do it. So
we're just gonna dive in there and just let's do it. Funnest of fun facts. Dawn of Fire, Hand of Abaddon, Book 8. Special edition is still available on the Games Workshop site.
Yes. Now it's sold out in Australia. I know because I always check the Australia site for stuff.
Are you okay, Australia?
I don't think they are. So it's sold out there, but not sold out here. I think it's because most people in the U.S., like, they have it like this since like the first 2 or 3 books.
I think that's actually true.
At this point, like, we're just committed, and I'm going to get the special editions because I can't have things like not match once I start something.
Same.
So yeah, so if you want to be like, oh, why can't we have nice things? And they keep redoing like these older books that nobody likes. Well, we're why. All right. So sorry,
guys. There's also that sequel to Outgunned is coming out. There's all kinds of stuff. So this is super exciting. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. There's also a few classic novels that they're re-releasing, like Dante and Mephiston, the Mephiston series, and Lamart. Yeah, I think they're really releasing Lamart. Like they're going through and releasing a bunch of stuff. So there's all this stuff coming out. I just want to read the new Leagues of Otan book. The special edition looks amazing, even though it's in Broncos colors.
I don't know if I'm going to rebuy Lamart because I'm fine with the copy I have.
It doesn't look like it's like...
Or Mephiston. I still haven't read that 3rd book. Not Mephiston. It is Mephiston. Yeah.
The sparkliest of sparkly vampires.
It's true.
Yeah. I was really happy actually that no new books are coming out next week. Well, now we're just talking about new books. But so join us next time.
Well,
for
I was happy
Men Walking.
no new books came out this last weekend either. I saw it was just the limited edition of like the reprint of Twice Dead King. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
That special edition, I didn't like those books enough to buy that special edition, but
The
those
special
books
edition did look nice. But I mean,
God, they were beautiful.
When we bought the Twice Dead King books, we already got the limited edition, so I don't need like the super alpha turbo limited edition. But I am going to I am going to admit though it's going to be hard to resist the Infinite and Divine.
Oh, I'm definitely purchasing that. Again, that book was so good. So that one's that one's getting ordered, and then I'm gonna probably hate myself. But by the way, that Twice Dead King collection sold out.
It is.
The Lords of Nocturne paperback sold out, as did Dominion Genesis. Dawn of Fire.
I'm telling you guys, they are listening to us because we start rereading the Salamanders trilogy, and they're like, "Shit, people actually want to read this. Reprint it." Or
I'll go with it.
Or because I know that Nick Kime actually does follow us, and if he was just like, "Hey, there's interest, let's reprint it," they're like, "Why not?" Well, apparently there is like serious interest in it, and if this means we actually get to a new Salamanders book in the future, like it doesn't have to be about those salamanders, but just any salamanders, that would be cool too. And don't point me out to the Space Marines battles books, people. I get it. They're in there a lot. I'm talking about like a actual salamanders book, not one about a battle.
Speaking of that, if you haven't watched Pariah Nexus on Warhammer Plus, you definitely should. And The Tithes. I'm going to be putting a review for this up on our site here, but the first episode, Sacrifice, actually deals with the salamander from Pariah Nexus.
What?
And they have a phenomenal conversation in that, which is probably one of my, honestly, it's going to go down in history as one of my new favorite conversations. And I expect that I'm going to be referencing it ad nauseum on this podcast. It'll become a new drinking moment.
Excellent. Yes, that means I need to start actually watching Pariah Nexus.
Well, and then the Tithe.
Well, yes, obviously.
So good. Very good. I shout out to Warhammer Plus for providing minutes of content every year.
I always forget that I have it.
Same. But then there was something about like there's a trailer for the 3rd episode of the Tithes, and I was like, you know what? God damn it, we're gonna sit and watch this. So we did. Highly recommend that first. I have to watch the second one still. But the first one was 10 out of 10. You want to take us out, Carrie?
Yeah, I guess I will at this point, since we've now just deviated all over the place. So now that everybody knows our shopping habits and what we're watching, gotta let you know that in case you haven't noticed, you've been listening to the Warhammer 40k book club episode regarding Daemonbreaker by Jude Reid. I guess maybe I should show the what the hard cover would look like. I thought it was in here, wasn't it? There it is. Couldn't get it. So there we go. Anyway, it's by Dr. Jude Reid. Be sure to join us next time for A Dead Men Walking by Steve Lyons. We are an unofficial book club and not affiliated with the Black Library or any of its affiliates. You can find both the vidcast and podcast on our website, WH40kbookclub.com. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, give a review, and all those wonderful things to the vidcast on YouTube or the podcast literally anywhere you get podcasts. Come join our Discord. Having like a great conversation. Like one of the guys like finally discovered Witchbringer. Welcome. Really, really good book. And
oh man, I forgot about that one.
And we got a recommendation for a future or way back book that it's not even in an omnibus. So it's kind of fun in there. And then people also like to tell us where we're wrong about Ahriman, and then I just have to be like, nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh, but also uh-huh.
But because I'm intelligent that way. Huh?
We love the conversation so much.
Yep, where I just go, nuh-uh. And everyone's like, how do you have a podcast? I just do. Anyway, Anyway, it is a lot of fun in there. I really enjoy talking to everybody in there. They also show what they're painting, and it's really, really cool. And I'm really, really jealous because I don't have that talent. So I want to see more paintings, people. And sometimes we get to see new farm animals. Because one of our guys likes to show baby chickens when they hatch. It's really, really cute. Anyway, so our site also has articles about adventures and reading other Warhammer 40k books and short stories outside the book club books. Like Jen is reviewing Warhammer Plus shows. I'm on the final book of the Horus Heresy, people. We're going to have like the biggest party when I finish this before I start Siege of Terra. Anyway, so please stay a while and read from a crag. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.